Okay, we are here with Master Alan Olds.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for joining me. I wanted to introduce you to not only everyone who watches my videos, but also the people who are most interested in martial arts, because quite frankly, you are an incredible martial artist, and I think everybody should know about you.
Well, thank you. I don't know, but I am happy to be here, though. That is true.
I have a few questions for you I've been kind of thinking about that I think people would be interested in. One is, how in the world did you get started in this crazy world of martial arts in the first place?
Oh, wow. So, I grew up in a place called the Triangle, and just right around the block, a man moved in. His name was Danny. I won't say his last name. He was a Shodokan black belt. And we'd drive by as little kids riding our bikes and stuff, and I was 8 years old. He'd be out there in the front yard just working out, throwing blocks and kicks and everything. Next thing I know, he's teaching all of us.
No kidding.
And so
your first martial art is Shodokan?
Yeah, my first martial art was Shodokan. My second martial art was Tang-Soo-Do, which is now the Chuck Norris system. We were originally Tang-Soo-Do, and then the Chuck Norris system, and then Chung-Kuk-Do, and we're back to the Chuck Norris system, and Miyama Kempo JuJutsu.
Yeah, right. So after you left the Shodokan instructor, you went into the Chuck Norris system.
Yes.
And you became friends with Chuck Norris.
My instructor was originally trained by Mr. Norris, and his name is Ken Gallagher. He's actually a 10th degree black belt under Chuck Norris. So in the Norris Organization, they have Aaron Norris, which is Mr. Norris's younger brother, who's a 10th degree, and then Ken Gallagher, who is a 10th degree black belt. And
wow.
That's who the three of them run the organization.
Wow, so you've got this direct connection to Chuck Norris.
Yes.
And now tell me about that. I mean, when you were coming up through the ranks, did you know who Chuck Norris was, or did you just?
So I was still a kid, and to be honest, he is like a superstar. I mean, I remember when he was younger, and the dude, there was nothing he couldn't do. I mean, it was personable. He was friendly. When you got on the mat, though, he was a beast.
Really?
Yes, he was a beast on the mat. All of them were back then, though. I mean, those guys in the 70s, they were beasts.
A lot of people talk about these film stars not actually being martial artists, but there are some, like Chuck Norris, who are legit.
Yeah, that whole, that's not true. I've actually heard guys say things like that, that they're not real martial artists. Nah, I'm sorry, from 1965 to 1970, Chuck Norris was world champion, 5 years.
Right. Okay,
he came up through the ranks. He fought with Joe Louis. He fought with Bruce Lee, Superfoot Wallace, Bob Wall. These are all guys who were real martial artists. They weren't just grandmasters or TV stars or movie stars. These were the real deal martial artists.
And he trained with Bruce Lee. I mean, a lot of people talk about Bruce Lee. He's legendary, obviously.
Yep, obviously, yeah.
But Grandmaster Chuck Norris, he actually trained with him. And some say that he may have even taught Bruce Lee some things.
So I would agree with that, because Bruce Lee actually, what people don't realize is that he took stuff from everybody and made it his own. And that's kind of what Mr. Norris did too. Mm-hmm. So those guys weren't afraid to train with each other and learn and build their skills and continue as a continual student. That's what everybody thinks, that when they become a black belt, they're done.
Right.
Nah, you just scratch the surface.
Right.
You know, and the perfect example, I like to use Mr. Norris as an example, or my instructor, Ken Gallagher, as an instructor, or guys like Dick Douglas, John Natividad, Johnny the Giant Killer, John Natividad, Benny Akitas. These guys, I got to train with these guys because of Mr. Norris. We got these guys that would always come in and train us. And we were always encouraged to learn more. more. Not just one way of doing something, but more and more and more. I mean, I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 35 years ago, before it was even popular here in the United States. And the funny story with that is Mr. Gallagher was just relating this to me, that many years ago, Mr. Norris went down to Brazil, was getting beat by the old man Gracie. Called us up, called him up and said, hey, guess what we're doing from now on too? We're all gonna learn how to grapple. And boom, next thing you know, we had the Gracies at Black Belt Convention.
That's right. There's a video running around where they first brought the Gracies over.
Yes, Mr. Norris brought the Gracies over and the Machados. I like to use Carlos Machado. He's in Texas. So not only is he the nicest man on the planet, one of them, but man, he is just deadly. I mean, he's amazing. And all those guys are, the Gracies, the Machados. Now there's so many that are so good at grappling and have come over and brought it to America. And what do we do as Americans? I'm gonna think about it.
We're a melting pot.
We're a melting pot. We're not too prideful to say, oh, this is the one way.
But remember the days when we were saying this is the only style. My style is the best style. We've gotten away from that, with the sort of the invention of mixed martial arts, which the Gracies had a lot to do with.
Yes. And so that is actually what, to give a little breakdown, so what UFAF is, the United Fighting Arts Federation. So that is the Norris Organization. And what it is they decided that, look, there's more to it. There's Krav, there's grappling, there's knife fighting, stick fighting, sword fighting, weapons. As you know, I work guns a lot and train guns. Because there's so many skills that are needed in the modern world. If you're one-dimensional, you're going to get beat. You're going to get beat.
So that's the beautiful thing about bringing a group like UFAF, and it continued to expand. So really, UFAF has been around for a long time, and they're probably a pioneer in this kind of universal.
The universal way. That's what it means. Chunky-Do is the universal way.
Right, and so they're basically bringing all these things together. So Chuck Norris is really a pioneer in the martial arts world.
Yeah, and you got to meet him.
Yes.
Last July when we went to convention, and you saw how open and friendly all those guys are. And that was the advantage, is that so people sometimes when you deal with movie stars or people who are very celebrity, people don't look at them as like they're normal. They're normal human beings. But I mean, these old school black belts are guys that you can go and actually, they care about you. They want to visit. They know who you are. We used to joke about that, that when we go to convention, he knew all of us. And now, there's probably 10, 15,000 running around.
And I really noticed that when I had the opportunity to meet him, is that he made me feel like
you were friends.
Right.
Yes.
Like we were friends, and I was the only guy in the room for that.
And Aaron, when we spoke to him later, his younger brother, same deal. Treated you like you were one of the group, one of the guys, known you forever. And but we experienced that same thing when we went to the Kempo convention.
That's true.
With Jeff Speakman. That's right. They treated us fabulous.
Yes, they
walking
did.
around in that.
Yes, they did.
And that's where that's why I joke that I'm kind of like Norway or Sweden or Switzerland. I'm the neutral party. Go out on the mat. They know you're a black belt immediately. I didn't get my black belt from McDojo. And I didn't stop as learning. I just keep learning. And now I'm at the, as us broken bodies now. You play hard, you get broken. And, now it's more about sharing what I've learned.
Well, it has to be. I mean, at some point we continue training, but our bodies slow down. and then it becomes our knowledge we'll pass on.
Yeah.
You know, the next generation.
The next generation.
Actually, I was talking to my Daitoru Aiki Jiu-Jitsu sensei, and he's very interested in the younger generation carrying on the art, and he cares, of course, about the older generation too, but he recognizes the fact it's the younger generation.
Because, as you know, I'm writing an article for Warrior Arts Revolution International, and what I chose for mine is the future.
Oh, very
so for mine, I've interviewed guys that have multiple schools, old school black belts, and where do we see modern day martial arts going? Kind of like the middle of where we learn everything, but we want to keep the traditional values with the modern way of craft, ground fighting, boxing, kickboxing, grappling. Got to throw something a little bit into it.
Yes.
You know, master something, learn everything you can, but we need to instill in the future because you know, without throwing a plug out there, but I'm going to throw a plug out there that, you know, this generation of kids right now, I think it's harder than for me. I mean, for us, you know, and I know your history. You didn't grow up with a lot of money,
Right.
So martial arts wasn't out,
Right.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
It wasn't out.
That's true.
Kids today, they're just overwhelmed with everything, and the disrespect that they receive from each other.
Yeah.
You know, and on the mat, we need to help them understand that you treat people the way you want to be treated, and treat each other with respect, and keep those good traditional values with modern warrior.
I agree. Speaking of Warrior Arts Revolution, I guess we could talk a little bit about how we came up with this. And we were actually, without spilling too many of the beans, you know, we were actually at the Chuck Norris
Convention. That's right.
And we said, you know what, this is amazing. We love how they're structured. We want to do something similar but different at the same time.
Yeah.
So something just as open, just as eclectic.
Yeah. So that's true, because when we were sitting there and we were talking, we'd met so many other black belts at convention, at the convention, that were black belts like us in multiple different things.
Right.
Who had done it as a lifelong of learning.
Yep.
And they weren't just from America, but they were from Europe, Sweden, Norway,
South
Mexico,
Africa.
South Africa, from all over. Well, what better way of being an international organization than for all of us to have an area to go, to train, to get together, share ideas, and promote the future of martial arts.
And having that open relationship. Right now, well, it's always been this way, really, but the politics that are involved in a lot of martial arts, it's unnecessary, because we're all on the same team. We're all trying to learn. We're all lifelong learners, and we're all trying to share what we have. And one is not better than the other. It's just one may be different than the other, but not better than the other. You can always learn from each other.
There's a million ways to do something. Well, there is.
Yep.
And you might be fabulous at this and weaker at that, where this other person might be fabulous at that and weaker at this. This is where that opportunity to get together, work on the skills to change them.
Right.
What I notice is that sometimes when you're dealing with multiple schools in an area, I'm not trying to steal anybody's students.
Yeah.
You're not trying to steal anybody's students, because you're trying to do this as a living. And there's nothing wrong with trying to make a living teaching what you've learned.
Right.
And that's a good thing, you know. I mean, we know so many people that are doing that are fabulous human beings. And like when I was interviewing a bunch of them from around, same as you, it's about building people.
Yes.
It's not about promoting this system or this art or this. No, it's about building people and lifelong. Because when I was interviewing, I messed up the dates on it, so I'm glad I have more time, because I wanted to fit. I actually interviewed Mr. Gallagher about it.
Nice.
Because he got his black belt back in the 70s and has come through, and he's been all over the world. And one of the things he wants to promote is what we're talking about,
That's wonderful.
bringing everybody together and sharing the information and the knowledge, but we still have to promote the future martial artists and teach them the values of building people.
Yes, absolutely.
Health, fitness. It's not just about fitness. It's about your mental, your spiritual, your personal well-being, how you care for others. I mean, what better way to be a trainer than to be a good training partner?
Right, exactly.
You know, and
Well, you know, the future to me looks bright for the martial arts world. I mean, we've got MMA coming out, and then obviously that's a sport. But I see a lot more MMA guys getting into the martial arts, becoming martial artists.
yes,
You know, I think of one particular promotion, out of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
They really promote the martial arts as a whole in their promotion, which I like.
That's the way we got to do this, because it used to be there were more people doing martial arts, and now what's kind of happened is that with the video games and the other things that have taken over children's time and adults, they don't really have that physical outlet like they used to. And you know, if you try out for a high school team, there's only so many who can make that team.
Yeah, right.
But when you do martial arts, whether it's grappling, boxing, kickboxing, karate, whatever you want to do, you can find a home and do this as a lifetime sport.
Right.
You know, and continue it to your old age. I mean, you can be handicapped and still instruct.
Right.
For,
Exactly.
Like me, you know, for the joke is, you know, I had back surgery, neck surgery, back surgery, 7 knee surgeries, this, you know, play hard, you break things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so you've also trained with one of my teachers, Kenneth Winthrop.
Yes.
In the Miyama Kempo JuJutsu system. So we're working on continuing to expand that, continuing to push that into the future, which was Antonio Pereira's original idea.
Yes.
You know, I was just working on an article about the Miyama and how Antonio Pereira really mixed the World War II combatives, so this combato
Combatos, yeah.
defendo, and mixed that together. Once he came back to the United States, he started teaching that, and a Japanese man saw him and said, "Hey, you need to come to Japan and expand your knowledge." Bringing that into the Bronx, and then of course teaching Master Ken.
And you got to throw that plug in there too. That, you know, a lot of us have that judo background. A lot of those old, like Master Perez, the judo background. Kenneth Winthrop, the judo background.
Yep.
We all, our blend together that we all have together is a judo background.
Yep.
You know, and I got to meet Ken when he was in Vegas.
Yeah.
So that's why when the first time I saw him up here, I was like, "What are you doing up here, man?" And I got to see him when he was younger.
Yeah.
You know, not in his 80s, and could run or move around and was hurting people. He hurt people back then just as much as he hurts people now.
Yeah, I
So, you know, but he was younger. So, and you know, that's why when he was saying he wanted to do that, I was gung-ho to be part of that.
Be part of it. Yeah, he's trying to. We're trying to save it, and the three of us really, and bring it back to the United States. It's a great art.
Yeah.
You know, and
It's not a sport, because if you go full out, you're going to break. You're going to hurt your partner.
Yeah.
As he does to me on a regular basis.
As he does.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, what's the next step? I mean, I know that you're teaching, but what's the next step for Alan Olds in the martial arts?
The next step for Alan Olds is going right at this moment. I had to take a little sabbatical for a week or two till I heal. But I'm going to do martial arts until the day I die. My wife should tell you that martial arts is my first love. So I just want to share it with the world. And when I mean share it with the world is, I recognize that I have a skill of being able to bring people together. It doesn't mean I'm the best martial artist. or that I'm good at what I do, but it doesn't mean I'm the best at this or the best at that. It means I have a skill that I can relate with people and see what they need to help them. So that's what's in the future for Alan Olds. Because Alan Olds wants to help martial arts grow. I want to help people with schools promote their schools in a proper way to help them grow, so that if they want to make money and do it as an actual living, there are ways that you can do it to make it as a living.
Yeah.
Right. But I really want to instill the traditional morals of old and values with the warrior way. And so that's Alan Olds is my thing is, I say Tang Sudo, the warrior way Tang Sudo. Because I like that traditional with modern fighting.
Yeah.
But for me, I just want to continue to grow and share.
And you do that. I mean, we were talking about one's weaknesses and strengths and how we can complement each other. I bring you in here. I know that our kicking, I'm a JuJutsu guy. I'm a Kempo guy. We keep low kicks. We don't do a lot of kicking. But I bring you in here and say, hey, will you help out with the kicks? Will you make this better? And that's the way I feel like we all are. Just like we were talking to Nikki from South Africa. Hey, will you make us better at horses? Will you make us better at so that's what Warrior Arts Revolution is all about, is let's get together, let's train, let's make each other stronger and fill in some of those gaps and recognize when you have weaknesses and when someone else can help fill that in.
Yeah, and I really hope to do that. I mean, like with the grappling tonight, I know it from a smaller person's perspective. When you're not the biggest, powerfulest guy in the room, you got to know your technique. You got to have that down. If you're the smaller guy, you got to have that down. You got the speed, but you still got to have the technique. And speed and technique makes power. So, and it's just being able to do that, to see that, and be open to other black belts coming in and saying, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Because it might be just something to be like, oh, an aha moment that, wow, that's going to work for that student. So for me, I don't want to make a bunch of little robot Allens.
Yeah.
I want my students and the people I show with to be better than me.
Right.
I want them to do this as a lifelong thing. I want them to enjoy it. And unfortunately, I've had to use martial arts.
Being that you were an officer.
Yeah, I used to get asked that all the time when we'd end up in a brawl or a beat down or an arrest or whatever. And of course, I was always the smallest guy. They'd be like, oh, did you use karate? No, I might have used karate. I might have used jujitsu. I might have used aikido. I might have used combat jujitsu. Right. Japanese style. I might have done this. I might have used a Korean. I might have, who knows? I might have used whatever was in that wheelhouse that made it work.
Right.
And
universal.
And I don't want anybody to. I would like people to be able to feel safe wherever they're at.
Yes.
Whether they're traveling, whether they're going to school, whether they're at home in their own house. Just enough. You need to know enough that you can feel safe, and I don't mean this in a bad way, or a mean way, or a derogatory way, but as men, sometimes you need to be the protector.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because my wife is only 5 foot tall.
Yeah.
So, and she's a little pistol, okay? But, it's your responsibility to protect children, to protect your wife, to protect your friends if they can't, and you need to be able to do that as men. You need to be able to not be overly aggressive, but when it does time, you need to instill in women and children and other men that you train that when it's go time, it's go time.
Yep, I agree. Well, thanks for joining us and being here for this podcast / interview. Any parting words that you would like to give to other martial artists out there, or people just getting started?
Be consistent. Train. Those of us that train hard, train every training session like you're going to have to use it tomorrow.
Good advice.
Okay, and what's that saying? It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Yeah.
So there's more to martial arts than just fighting. But when you do need to fight, fight with all you have.
Agreed. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your time.
Yep.
And
You'll see me again.
See you again. Thank
Yep.
you.